So let's talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves right now. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been a team which have been repeatedly just beat the best teams in the NBA and have just had an amazing performance after amazing performance. They yesterday beat the Heat, even with the Heat playing amazingly and it being close. The Minnesota Timberwolves had a 10-point fourth quarter, a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, which led them to win this game. I want to say that the Minnesota Timberwolves have been the best team in the NBA. That's by record and that's by everything. In the East or the West, they have the same record as the Celtics. But I do think that the differences make it so that the Timberwolves are perceived as better. The Minnesota Timberwolves, have been amazing consistently because of three things. First, their defense. The Minnesota Timberwolves are the best defensive team in the league. And if you don't watch them, then you don't know. They have Jaden McDaniels, they have Anthony Edwards, and they have a plethora of guys who just play defense. And this is the first thing that makes them really tough. All of their guys play defense. All of their guys know how to rotate. And even guys like Karl, Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert, which are both 2 7-footers which play at the same time, they both know which roles to play. You see, Rudy Gobert's more of a shot blocker, meet me at the rim type of a guy. And with Towns' body and strength, he can really size up, the bigger defenders in the NBA like a Jokic or an Embiid. But honestly, the real importance of the Timberwolves has been the amazingness of their players, especially the top guys. And I want to say that with a lot of emphasis for the amazingness. These players on the Timberwolves have been amazing. Anthony Edwards is the first guy, obviously. He is the superstar of the team, and he's been averaging 25 points per game, basically, with 45% from the field, 38% from three. Meanwhile, also getting 5 assists and 5 rebounds, and a whole steal. He's basically averaging the same thing as last year, but with way better free throw percentage. And this has made for some great basketball, especially in games where it's close, where this man is actually clutch or has proven to be actually clutch. Second guy on, the report is Karl Anthony Towns. He's been this season shooting 50, 40, 90 as a center, right? Or not, as a power forward. Meanwhile, having 22 points and 10 rebounds. 50, 40, 90 is 50% from the field, 40% from three, right? And 90% from the free throw line. Basically, the golden balance of statistics. And he's done that as a big man, which we've never seen before. By the way, he's doing this meanwhile taking a lot of shots at each shot. It's not like he's doing this averaging 1 3 a game. He's averaging 5 threes a game, and he's shooting them at 40% clip. And he's shooting 5 free throws a game, and he's still averaging a 90% clip. And then finally, you have the other guys on the court. You have a guy like Mike Conley, which has been a great point guard for them. He's been averaging 6 assists and 11 points. He's been extremely good at shooting the three and at shooting free throws. Meanwhile, his field goal percentage is not that great, but it's above average. So he's been really good when it comes to just being, an amazing player, also a great defensive player, right? Then you have a guy like Rudy Gobert, which has just broken out this season in terms of offense. He's not averaging a lot of points, but if you watch the Timberwolves, he's doing it in a way where it doesn't even feel like he's affecting the offense. It feels like he just gets his points in because, you see, when he was with Utah, he was an important piece of the offense. This just feels like he's adding 12 points, and it's so seamless that it's amazing because it allows, his teammates and the players around him to be able to have a liberty when they play with him, right? And finally, And finally, we have Jaden McDaniels, which is the defensive guy of this team, the perimeter defender, which is averaging 55% from the field, 37% from three, and 75% from the line, with just an amazing, uh, meanwhile being an amazing player on both ends of the floor, extremely effective on offense. So the fact that their starting guys are averaging this many points, right? Like each one of them is averaging at least like 10 or, close to 10 if you round it up. It makes it so that when you see this team, it's like their offensive production is there and they can actually produce offense, and they are good when it comes to making up enough offense to beat their teams. But the real place where they are the best is at stopping their teams from scoring a lot. With this new NBA and with this new league that we see where players want to be scoring 150 points a game like James Harden did, scoring 21 in the fourth quarter against the Clippers, like the Pacers have done all season. Well, with the Clippers against the Pacers, like the Pacers have done all season where they've scored 150, especially against the Hawks. And the Hawks, which they just, try to outblow you out and go into triple overtimes of 160 points. When we look at these teams, it seems like, offense has been instated as like a constant in the NBA. It seems like there's more offense than ever now, barring the 60s, but it feels like if we keep going like this and with how good offense has become and how fast people are playing this offensive game, it feels like, defense is getting left back. Defense is still very important, and if you can't guard, you can't win, and that's something which is 100% true 100% of the time. Even if defense has gotten worse, there is a point to be made about how defense is getting much more important, right? Like, look, even if offense gets better, that just makes the importance of defense better. Because if we make offense better, right, then the players who can stop that offense are going to become more valuable. Now, the problem with this is that defense is not growing at the same rate of offense. People have figured out defense, and especially after last season with the Nuggets zone defense that they played in the playoffs, it seems like every team has realized that there are very little ways to play defense that's not conventional, right? Or that are not like already schemes which we've seen done before. So it seems like the Timberwolves having the best defense, being able to hold their teams to low points, like it seems like they've really took that and ran with that as their, scheme. Play defense and the offense will come. Just get effective looks, don't ego ball yourself. Don't do all of this bull crap that most teams do. And honestly, I feel like that's become a great advantage for the Timberwolves. The fact that they can actually guard, play defense, and do all of that. Even though, yes, it is being handicapped by the new NBA and the way that the game is being played, I do believe that it is good to have a team which can just clamp the way that they can. They were going up against the Heat. They did win that matchup. It was a very interesting game. The Heat were originally looking like they were going to beat them. But then the Timberwolves came back from the trenches and just absolutely destroyed them. And honestly, I will say that it was a great game. And even though we lost, I'm a Heat fan, I do want to say that shout out to the Timberwolves for that game. One thing that I also want to say, shout out to this team, shout out to the Heat, because honestly, even though they lost, they did put up a fighting and a valiant effort. So that's been it. I just wanted to talk about the Timberwolves, honestly. They're a team which is very exciting. It's very nice. And I do believe that they've been one of the best teams in the league. And I want to appreciate them because they don't get looked about or talked about enough. Like, they've gone, like, it's so crazy. Like, if someone would have told you, through the first 25 games of the season, the Timberwolves are going to be far and away the best team in the Western Conference, someone would have laughed at you, or someone would have told you, nah, it's probably going to be like the Lakers, the Warriors, the Clippers, or or some team like that. So I want to say shout out to the Timberwolves for doing what they've been doing. And honestly, I hope that they keep going with this.